What's up, guys? So today I want to, after a long break, thanks to months and months off for COVID, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about a machine called the Neuma Four. This is new from Neuma, new-ish now from Neuma and Carson Hill. And what this machine does is it seeks to solve some of the problems, I guess, that Carson Hill and his team found with traditional rotaries. So we're going to go through the specs of this machine. We're going to go through the pros and cons about it. I'm going to let you know kind of my opinion on it overall. And of course, as always, it's an unsponsored review. So if you're new to the channel, my name's Anthony Jenkins from Epitaph Tattoo, and let's get right into it. So this is the Neuma Four. There's your packaging there. It's all very kind of bare bones, which is perfectly fine. When you get your package, you're just gonna have, in my case, I went with the stainless steel. You can have a few things in here, some oil. That'll tell you kind of one of the things we're gonna have to do. A little bit of kind of instructions, but all very straightforward, all what you would expect. So let's talk about the specs of the machine, okay? So it's a direct drive rotary. Obviously, it's a pen style. The machine weighs, depending on what configuration you decide to go with, it weighs anywhere from 115 grams all the way to 370 grams. So it can get pretty heavy. Operating range is as low as 4.5 volts, and the absolute max on it is 9 volts. Neuma would like you to keep it under kind of the 8.5 or 8 volt range, okay? So there's lots of kind of interchangeable things on this machine. So let's start with the strokes. It comes with a 2.75 millimeter, a 3.6 millimeter, or a 4.2 millimeter. Now the machine that I decided on was a 3.6 millimeter. That's the stroke they kind of recommend as an all-arounder. It's pretty close to the strokes that I already use, okay? So this machine also has different stroke profiles. So the stroke profiles, which I'll kind of crudely explain in a couple minutes. For the liner or kind of all around, they recommend a 20% stroke profile. There's a 28% stroke profile for a shader, 33 for kind of a layering or a light color, and then a 40% stroke profile for a color packer. It also comes with different bearing arm options. So brass is kind of what's standard. It's what mine has. It's what it comes with. And that's for kind of a harder hit. And aluminum is an option as well, and that'll give you a softer hit, okay? So the grips, they've got tons of adjustability and options with these grips. I bought my machine pretty early after release. And so mine is just the standard stainless steel grip, which I really like. It's a little bit heavier, and the balance on it is apparently a little bit nicer than some of the other aluminum grips. So this is the one that I chose. But now you can get, a variety of different sizes, different configurations, some a little more ergonomic than others, some a little smaller than others. And they come in aluminum, stainless steel, brass, nickel plated, anodized, a lot of different options. So Neuma's done that really well to kind of cater to, basically anyone. And, they obviously are interchangeable as well. They can all kind of go onto the same body, as these grips are also autoclavable. So that's another bonus. Now, they also have interchangeable cams. So you have, kind of endless adjustability with these machines. And in terms of pricing, they're the base price that you're going to be paying is $679, which works out to 850 Canadian dollars for me. And then they, with other options and with other kind of add-ons, they go up to kind of $935-ish, which ends up $1,170, which is a fair amount of money. That puts you kind of on par with some of the wireless rotaries that are being put out right now, and stuff with kind of big tech, bigger companies behind them. So my machine, the one that I kind of tested out, as I said, stainless steel, 3.6 millimeter stroke, was $790 shipped to my door. And I can get into a little bit more about kind of my experience with Neuma as it is. So, as I said, this machine, I guess, when Neuma came together and Carson Hill came together to decide what to do next from the website, it looks like what they did is they all sat down and they decided what was wrong with all the rotaries that we use. And they tried to correct all of those things with the Neuma Four. And so the biggest issue with modern rotaries, and even especially the older ones, has to do with the stroke profile. So on their website, on the Neuma website, you can kind of go real in depth into, what the stroke profiles are of different machines and how they hit and everything else. But to kind of simplify it the best I can, and as I understand it, is the stroke profile of a traditional rotary tends to be a little more, arc-like. So when it's hitting the skin here, it can drag, right? And if you have fast hands, which I do, a lot of guys will tend to feel slower machines, drag in the skin, or they'll chew up the skin. And so what the Neuma Four does is, using the cam design and using the stroke wheels, it seeks to change the stroke profile to be a nice sharp point, essentially. And so that would make it comparable to a traditional coil machine in kind of feel and also in performance, but have the consistency and smoothness of a rotary. Okay, so does it work? Now, in using this machine, I can tell you that it absolutely does work. The feel of this machine is very, very similar to a coil. It's very similar to a traditional machine, but it does have that kind of smoothness. It doesn't have give, really, but the feel of it is almost as if it does. So I think that what they've done at Neuma is actually really brilliant, and it's even more brilliant for a tattooer who is coming from coils and is deciding, I want to jump, into using a rotary, and I need something to try. This is the machine that I've been recommending since I started using it, because it's so close, and that's a good thing. Now, as a completely other issue, I don't think that, after almost, 12, 15 years, I guess 15 years of using rotary machines now, I don't think that the problems that they identified are that big of a problem for most people. I think that if you're successfully tattooing with rotary machines, then you have learned to navigate, kind of some of the pitfalls, I guess, some of the limitations of them, just as when we were tattooing only with coil machines, we learned to navigate the pitfalls of them. This machine does eliminate some of those pitfalls, which forces you into a situation where, you're changing the way you tattoo a little bit, okay? So in terms of, what they've done, they've given you some interchangeable cams. They've changed the shape of the cam to give you some adjustability, to give you, a really correct stroke, and giving you some adjustability in terms of what stroke do you want to use for what job, right? So I like that. So let's talk about, I guess, some of the, pros of this machine, and I've kind of already, outlined some of them. I guess, the feel would be kind of number one, right? So I feel like this machine is really fast, even though, if you've watched any of my videos before, that I tend to like run machines right full tilt. This one I never really had to, I'm always kind of in the, mid sevens, low sevens, when I could be running it all the way up to 9 theoretically. So it feels really fast and crisp and punchy. It feels good. The line work that you can produce from this machine, to me, is better than any other rotary I have ever used, and I say that sincerely. There's just nothing. It's always been a sticking point for so many people getting into rotaries is, oh, I can't line with them. It doesn't feel the same. I can never stretch hard enough to get a good line. The adjustment to the stroke profile, at least in the one that I tested, which was, as I said, the 20%, is so bang on that you can line with this thing down from a single or a tight 3, and I lined all the way up to a loose 18 with it. It had no problem, no hesitation, single pass lines every time, no problems whatsoever. So huge pro in that, Neuma produced a machine that can line properly. It's extremely versatile as well. And, it's one of the only machines that I've ever been able to, turn down enough and put, a medium taper cartridge into and really do a proper whip shade and get a machine that is a rotary that will actually properly whip shade and give me really nice pepper. And this machine will do that. No other rotary I've ever used will do that properly. So again, huge plus in versatility because I can tattoo realistic with it. I can do traditional, I can do line work, neo-traditional, anything that I want to do, this machine is going to be able to handle it. It has endless combinations. So if you can't find something that you like in this particular machine, you are not spending enough time trying to put the combination together because, especially now with the different grips and everything that they're offering, it really is endless. The weight and the balance of this machine, I think, is also a big plus. It feels really good in the hand. It's nice and short. It looks a little suspect. More than one customer has kind of, given me a little bit of side eye as I pulled this out of my drawer. So yeah, it might look a little funny, but in terms of weight and comfort, super comfortable. And as I mentioned, it all comes apart and is autoclavable. So what are the cons? I guess, for me, when I first plugged this machine in, which I'll plug in right now, and I turned it on, boy, it was loud, and I was nervous because I thought, it doesn't matter how good this machine is, I just don't want to listen to a rotary that loud all day. But after popping a cartridge into it, it really does quiet right down, and is fine. So it's. And you know what? It quiets down even more once you get some ink running through the cartridge as well. So it's a little noisier than say something from Cheyenne or an FK Irons machine or some of the other rotaries. But I think this machine seeks to not be those machines. So the noise kind of goes along with that, right? The adjustability with this machine will take some patience. I think that you can pick it up pretty quickly, but there is an overwhelming amount of options right now. And for a technology that's relatively new, that, even in this, 15 or 20 minute video, I can't explain, and truthfully don't fully understand all of, I don't think that I'm alone in that. I think that other consumers are going to be a little bit kind of overwhelmed. And that's understandable, especially now that they've put, all the cams into packages, they've put all the stroke wheels into packages, that you buy them all together and then you're going to be able to choose. I kind of bought my machine as fully built, plug and play, and I was able to just work, so that I think is, probably a con for the machine, and oiling regularly, the maintenance of them. I think we're all kind of spoiled now with machines that don't really need any maintenance and we just kind of use them. And this one recommends oiling, I think, once a week, I believe. So to me, that's kind of, can be a con. The other one that was my own personal experience was, the shipping and the customer service experience was not a positive one. I think that, I'm not sure who I was speaking to through Instagram. I tried emailing and never got a response. It was weeks and weeks and weeks before my order, even shipped out. And then once it did ship, it looked to be kind of lost in the mail and sitting in a, limbo forever. And when I spoke to somebody, when I reached out, finally through Instagram, received a response, and the person was very just, yeah, whatever, and didn't really seem to care. I'm not sure who that person was. When the machine got here, I kind of thought to myself, this better be the best machine I've ever used, because the customer service experience, the shipping experience, and all that kind of stuff, specifically for me in Canada, would, kind of negate how good the machine was. It was kind of that bad, and I was so, irritated with the whole process, I think. And with dealing with, really stand-up companies in Canada like Icon and different suppliers, different machine sellers, you get used to a kind of a standard where Neuma, the idea of Neuma has always struck me as, trying to push things to the next level, but also trying to be fiercely old school. And part of that, I guess, is treating your clients like crap, unfortunately. And that's kind of how I felt about the whole process. And the other thing, overall with the machine is, it, like I said in the beginning, it does seek to solve problems that may or may not exist for a lot of us, right? And that doesn't mean that it's not a good machine and not a really good machine. And the tech behind it is incredible. It just means that it's a niche, we may not all need this machine. We may not all pick it up every day to use, but I know that there are guys out there that are going to want this machine every single day, and they're going to want to use it every single day. So, I think that kind of sums up the pros and the cons for me. I think I covered all of the, the specs on this machine. So what's my overall, is this machine kind of worth your money? And I think, yeah, it absolutely is. I think, my experience with customer service may be isolated to the States, might be isolated to, one guy having a shitty day or a couple shitty days and, not really caring to help, some guy in Canada that is a nobody. But, I'm a nobody just like anybody who's watching this, or most of the people watching this, right? We're all kind of in that boat of, we're not famous guys, we're not getting our machines for free for the most part. And, so how a company treats, the guys that are in the trenches, I think is important to me. So if you can look past that one experience, that one aspect, which I have been able to, this machine is 100% worth it. It does something that no other rotary does. It feels amazing to tattoo with. And you know what, as someone who's been tattooing, since the 90s and started on coils and, learned how to build a coil machine from scratch, frame up, there is a soul that I think is in this machine that is maybe not in some of the other ones. And part of that is the tradition that is tattooing. And I think that it's important to kind of carry that on. So I definitely think it's worth your money. I definitely think it's worth your time to learn the right combination. And it's definitely a machine that I do recommend, and I'm still, taking out of my drawer and using very regularly. So yeah, highly recommend and check it out. And, if you want to see any of my work, you want to see the work that I've done with the Neuma, you can check out my Instagram. It's just AnthonyJenkins_ET, or our shop Instagram is just Epitaph Tattoo. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. I do my best to answer as many as I can, as long as they're reasonable. Please like and subscribe. Thank you to all of those that already have subscribed. It keeps me going. So thank you so much. I hope this has been helpful, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.